So I'm here with Darren Jacklin, and we're on the NCL Jade. And I apologize. Darren has been knighted, and he does have the title Sir Darren Jacklin. But we've been friends for so long, I just call him Darren, and he's not offended by that.
No.
I think he'll use the title when it's appropriate, but generally, this is Darren, my buddy for years.
We've known each other for over 25 years, so it's been a long time.
We were so broke. We were sharing a crappy house. You have no idea. And our idea of fun was getting into my old Suburban and driving in the backyard into a beehive.
Nest, yeah.
We had to entertain ourselves with nickels. So, we go back a ways. And our lives went in a couple of different directions. We've had relationships, and some were good, some were bad. We've learned a lot about ourselves over the years. We've stayed in constant contact. And that, by the way, that's really hard to do in this world now, to maintain a friendship with a brother that you've developed. And we have a lot in common, so we have a lot of things that we can just naturally talk about. We understand each other. But some of the things that he does, I have to listen because I don't fully understand. He's gone into a path that is complicated and very sophisticated. So he explains it to me. And there's things that I, have developed and learned in life that kind of surprises him every now and then. That some of the shit that comes out of my mouth, he's like, "What the hell did he just say?" It was fun, and this is where we can play off each other and learn from each other. And right now, Darren wanted to talk to me about something really interesting, and I'm going to just give the floor to you, Darren.
So your environment is stronger than your willpower. And so the key thing is, if you want to change your life, you change your environment. That's the biggest thing, is change your environment. So if you want to, for example, financially, you want to make more money, you want to start doing investments, whether it's real estate, stocks, bonds, cryptocurrencies, whatever it is, it's about getting into different rooms around different people, having different seats at different tables.
Right.
So I'll give you lots of examples. So years ago, I wanted to get onto paid advisory boards and paid boards of directors of companies. So what I did is I started to get around people when I realized that they were serving on nonprofit boards. Mm-hmm. Nonprofit boards are volunteer boards. So I started getting around people who were all on nonprofit boards across North America. I started getting invitations and opportunities and doors open for me. But then what it was all volunteer work.
Yeah.
Right? So then my calendar started getting full of nonprofit volunteer boards. So then I realized, hey, what if I get around people who are actually getting paid as a fair means of exchange on paid advisory boards, paid boards of directors? Then in a very short period of time later on, I started getting paid to be on advisory boards and boards of directors. Now today I serve on multiple different paid advisory boards and boards of directors. Mm-hmm. And I even had a chance for a decade to serve on a publicly traded company on NASDAQ. I got a chance to ring the closing bell at NASDAQ 3 times. So your environment is stronger than your willpower. Same thing is that, once you make a bunch of money, now the key thing is to protect that money, keep the money, and then multiply the money. So what do most people do? What I did is you go to a financial planner, you go to a financial advisor, you go to a bank, mm-hmm. you go to a credit union, you talk to a licensed financial planner, you talk to these men and women who are professionals, but some of them are also commissioned salespeople.
So what's the point of what you're saying? Because you're going and you're talking about a lot of stuff here, and I'm trying to follow what you're saying.
So if you want to change your life, you change your environment.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to get you to say that again, but I need you to stop for just a second. Mm-hmm. We're going to edit this part out. Don't look at the computer. Look at the camera.
Oh, gotcha. I was looking at the green light.
I know. Yeah, that's the camera.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
All right.
I just had a habit. I saw the green light on.
I know. I wanted you to know because I whispered, "Look at the camera."
Well, I know it's because I thought the green light was.
Fuck the green light. It's not the green light. So now I'm going to pause. So you were saying something about your environment is...
So your environment is stronger than your willpower, right? So when we start doing something, working out, exercising, investing or saving money, okay, maybe it's changing the way we look physically in terms of our clothes and going for a job interview or a date. The thing is your environment is stronger than your willpower. So most people lack the discipline of being consistent with consistently following through, following up.
Yeah.
So if you change your environment, so for example, in my life, and you've known me for a long time, when I wasn't winning, the first thing I would do when I felt like I was failing or being defeated is I would change my environment, get around people who were winning, so that I could feel, oh my gosh, okay, I got a chance to do something.
Yeah, but why would they want you around?
Well, and that's the thing is that's the self-talk that goes on like that. I don't want to be on these people. These people are winning right now. I'm not winning.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So the thing is that, so what I would do is I would go to like 4- and 5-star hotel lobbies, the Ritz-Carltons, the Fairmonts, the Four Seasons hotels, even when I had no money, and I would just sit in the hotel lobby.
Yeah.
Okay. For many years, I wanted to travel around the world.
Yeah.
So I would go to Vancouver International Airport. There's a Fairmont Hotel there, and I would sit in the Fairmont Hotel and watch all these businessmen and women coming in and out of that hotel doing business meetings.
Really?
Oh yeah. And it was fascinating for me to watch and hear their conversations.
Would you have thought of that?
So the thing is getting around these different environments.
Yeah.
So I feel that I'm winning, even when I wasn't. Because sometimes I would evaluate myself based on how much money I had in my bank account. I got no money in my bank account, which means I have no self-worth. I'm not winning, I'm not succeeding, because I've got evidence of that.
So do you have self-worth now?
I do, because I don't attach it to whether I have money or I don't have money.
So if you suddenly got wiped out, you'd still feel like you had self-worth?
I would, because I would look at what value I can bring to the marketplace and what problems I can solve. And the key thing is I've built a network of people.
Right.
Because our network creates our...
So you wouldn't be broke for long?
No, because the first thing I would do is I'd get around rich people. The fastest path to cash is solve rich people's problems.
Yeah, okay.
If you solve rich people's problems, you'll make a lot more money faster.
Well, that sounds very simple and logical, but why do rich people want to call you up? They're going to be looking for people with fucking PhDs or, have years of like a big resume. So how does somebody who doesn't have a big resume but has ideas and has intelligence get in a room to be able to have the opportunity to solve a rich person's problem?
So when I was a kid, I was 7, 8, 9 years old when I first started with my rent-a-kid business. I was going to the dentist, the lawyers, the people who were making a lot of money in my city where I grew up, less than 20,000
Okay,
people.
you can't use that as an example because you're a kid and everybody loves
Sure.
kids and they go, oh yeah, we'll give them a chance. What is it, a few bucks to mow my lawn? Talk as an adult. If you had no money right now and nobody knew you, you were now, let's throw you in.
I go to a charity event.
Let's throw you in an English-speaking country, okay? Nobody knows you, and I dump you there, and we'll let you have $1,000. You can't be in an expensive hotel with $1,000.
So let's take it even worse. Let's you and I fly to a country we've never been to. Let's go to India.
Okay, let's go to India.
We fly to India, and we have no money. The first thing I'm going to do is when I arrive in that country, is I'm going to find out where does money hang out. Where is money?
Where is money?
Will be at a 4- or 5-star hotel. Money will be at a private country club. Money will be at a tennis courts. Money will be at pickleball courts. Money will be on hiking trails. So I got to find out where does money assemble and where money hang out.
That's great in a democratic country, but you go to some of these countries, they won't even let you in the door.
No, but I've been in parts of Africa, East and West Africa, where we're in third world countries, and I've found the most wealthiest people in that country. I remember being in East Africa one time and finding the guy who brought Coca-Cola to East Africa. Yeah. And I had a chance to sit down with him, and to this day I still haven't sold.
I saw that movie. It was The Gods Must Be Crazy.
Oh, is that what it is?
Have you seen that?
No.
Okay. If you haven't seen The Gods Must Be Crazy, you really need to see this. And Darren, you and I are going to watch this together. I swear to God, the premise is this African guy speaks only, clicks, and he's got the spear and he's walking through and he's hunting. And all of a sudden, a bottle of Coke falls out of a plane. So somebody was flying overhead, and it fell out of the plane, and it falls down, and either it hits his head or it lands on the ground. So he believes that God, because of course he's never seen an airplane, he has no idea of technology, he thought God gave him this bottle. And he went to the medicine man. The medicine man said he had to bring it to the end of the earth and dispose of it because it is evil. Okay, so a Coca-Cola bottle was delivered to him. It was empty, so he didn't get a chance to drink it. But the whole story is, what would happen if modern technology appeared in an ancient area where they've never seen it? What would they make of it? And it's a brilliant movie. The Gods Must Be Crazy, because they've now saddled this man with a mission that's almost impossible. So as you were saying, you were in Africa and you found the guy who brought Coke.
Yeah, so just getting into these different environments, being around different people. And how I found the guy was through a guy that I got to be my driver. Okay. And I just got talking to him. I said, I need to get around where money is in your community, in your village. And because if I get around people who've got money, then I can look at finding ways by listening and asking questions to solve a problem or serve people. So first thing I do is if you and I went to a country, I would go into that hotel and I'd find people coming to that hotel. Can I carry their luggage? Can I shine their shoes? Can I run an errand? Can I be their tour guide? What can I do to find a way to serve problems? And then what I would do is find a way to get money for the next 24 to 48 to 72 hours.
All right.
Because the first thing I want to do is I want to clear my mind.
Yeah.
Coming from lack and scarcity and fear and survival.
And show the opportunity exists. Okay.
And I need to get money for 72 hours.
Okay.
That way my mind's clear that I've got food for 72 hours. I can survive. I can live. Now my mind can be focused on income producing or revenue generating activities. Then once I get some more money, what can I solve? What kind of problem can I solve? How can I serve somebody to generate some money today, right now? Get quick money. Now I can get money for 5 days or 7 days. Now I've got a runway of 5 or 6 or 7 days. And that's my goal, is to keep extending that out so I've got a little bit more of a cushion, a little bit more of a cushion, a little bit more of a cushion.
Okay, but you have expenses at the same time.
For sure.
So if you have enough money for 5 days, that's basically food and shelter?
Yeah, food, shelter. Yeah.
Okay, so you'll run out of that money.
Correct. So now I'm looking at ways that can I find something that I can sell. I remember one time I was in a village one time in Africa, and I was low on cash years ago, and a bunch of tourists had brought in a bunch of mosquito nets into Uganda, East Africa. And I was in this rural village, and they had these mosquito nets that were just sitting there. And the people were never trained. They never grew up in an environment to ever use mosquito nets for malaria. So you know what I did? Well, I took the mosquito nets as the white Caucasian guy in the village.
Sure.
I walked into town where the market was, where they barter and trade, and I found a bunch of American tourists, and I sold them the mosquito nets. And I got cash. And got paid.
Did you give the money back?
I gave the money back to the people in the village because they owned the nets, and we worked a 50-50 win.
No, you got to admit, that's kind of smart. All right, I'll give you that one. That was clever. All right, so you now feel that no matter where you go and what you do, it doesn't matter how much you have or how much you don't have, you'll always find your way.
Always find a way. Because the key thing is as human beings, all we are is a network of conversations, and opportunities live inside of conversations. The challenge is we're taught by most environments growing up, we're taught as children, don't talk to strangers.
That's dumb.
Strangers have everything we want, everything we need, everything we desire in our lives, right? So the thing is, we got to look at is that if we can go and build a relationship with somebody and find a way to solve a problem, because every human being is either coming from a problem, they're in a problem, or they're heading towards a problem.
That's true.
Right? That's the condition of being a human being. So find a way to solve that problem and get paid for it.
Do you remember back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, when we were kids, there was a whole campaign called Stranger Danger.
Yes.
We were constantly told, stranger danger, don't talk to strangers. And it was only in the last 10 years that sociologists, criminologists, and psychologists have been studying what had been going on and realized that that was actually one of the most damaging social campaigns that ever was created, because it meant that they were looking in the wrong direction. The fact is the majority of people that were abused sexually or physically or mentally, it was their friends and their family that was doing it. It wasn't coming from the strangers. So if you go to a police officer and ask them if a woman is dead, who's your first suspect? They'll always say
the spouse or partner.
The spouse or partner, the husband, the boyfriend. They now understand that the odds of a stranger killing somebody is very small. Stranger danger. But in fact, I learned this a long time ago. Every single dollar and every single piece of knowledge that I need is in somebody else's head or pocket. So if I want or need anything, I have to learn how to communicate so that I can get them to want to give it to me, rather than, I'm not begging, which is what Darren just said, is creating the value. We create the value, find a problem they need to be solved, some way that you can contribute to their lives, and they'll exchange money for it. In fact, wealthy people have no problems exchanging money for a service of some sort or a problem that needs to be solved.
What happened the other day? You and I were in a dollar store.
Yeah.
We were getting some hand sanitizer before we got on the ship.
Yeah.
What happened to that kid in the store? I didn't know that kid. What did he do? He came up to me.
He came up to you, and this was brilliant. This kid literally walked up to a stranger and said,
he asked me if he could have $1, and the thing is, he wanted to buy his mother something. That was the hook. He said, it
doesn't matter if it's true or not.
Yeah.
The fact that he picked the right people to walk up to, because we respect anybody who's got the balls to ask for what they want. Darren's famous mantra is, "Who's got my money?" So
Well, yeah.
this kid came up to the right guy and asked him and says, "Do you have $1?" And Darren looked at him and said,
I said, "What do you want the dollar for?" And he told me for his mother.
Yeah.
And I said, "You only want $1?"
Mm.
And he says, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, so I give him 5 Canadian dollars." But the challenge, when I left, I realized I made a mistake with him.
What?
And maybe because it wasn't a teachable moment, is I never taught. I give him $5. But what I would have done in his situation, if I would have had more time, because I got thrown off when he asked me,
Sure.
is I would have showed him how to buy $4 worth of candy.
Yeah.
And buy the $1 for his mother, the gift for his mother.
Yeah.
And then how does he leave that store and then sell that candy for a profit? And now he multiplies that $4, so he doesn't run out of that $5. He keeps multiplying it.
Yeah, we could have taught the kid to become an entrepreneur. I mean, when I was young in high school, I'd sell cigarettes.
Yeah, I sold Halloween candy.
In high school, I realized everybody was bumming smokes, and many of you will relate to this. So I got fed up at people bumming smokes, because basically I'm buying and they're bumming. Well, sometimes, I'm going to be honest, I was stealing the cigarettes. But what I ended up doing was I would bring this pack and I would then say, "Okay, do you got 50 cents? No, everybody's got 50 cents, but they don't have a cigarette. I could have charged $1 for that cigarette, because they all have $1, but they didn't have it $6 or $7, which was the price of the pack, or they weren't near a store, they didn't have time to go to the store. The need was immediate because of addiction. I mean, drug dealers don't lose money, except the Canadian government. When they became drug dealers, they're the only ones that ever lost money. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
It's the most unbelievable story. When Canada decided to become the drug dealer, the marijuana, and they said, "Okay, you have to buy it from the government," they actually managed to lose money and fail. No other drug dealer in the history of the world has ever failed or lost money selling drugs, except for the Canadian government. But that's another story. So I would sell cigarettes. You sold Halloween candy. But we had the entrepreneurial mind, which is one of the things that connected us when we first met. We had like mind of seeing the world, and we both had family who looked at us like we were idiots and crazy. Both of our families, thought that we were just lazy and undisciplined.
Yeah, crazy. Dreamers.
And lazy, undisciplined, and dreamers. But it's the crazy. It's not lazy. It's the crazy that actually have created this world. It's the people who have chosen to pursue an idea rather than create somebody else's idea.
Well, I'll give you an example. I volunteer with a group called the East End Boys Club in Vancouver. And these are young men that are 13 to 18 years old.
The East Indian Boys Club?
East End Boys Club.
Oh, the East End Boys Club.
East End Boys Club in Vancouver. And it's a non-profit organization. Yeah. And they have a camp every summer that called Camp Choice, and I help raise money for the camp and stuff. And these are young men, 13 to 18 years old, grade 8 to grade 12. Most of them are fatherless. Come from all walks of life, all different backgrounds. Most are from the East End of Vancouver, okay, which is a tough neighborhood. And these are kids who most of them are most likely not to succeed in public education, in school, okay? But they're brilliant. They know how to steal cars. They know how to shoplift. They know how to sell drugs. They know how to con people. They know how to do all kinds of stuff.
A lot of skills.
You can learn about how to steal cars with these kids, how to break and enter, all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. And how to be in gangs because somebody's got their back. Now, the key thing is these are kids I would bet on more than an MBA student.
I agree.
You know why? These kids will take risks. They'll hustle. They'll outwork you.
Yeah.
They will collaborate. They'll strategize. If we can get them to do things with honesty and integrity, it's huge.
Yeah.
But these kids have something to prove because they're not good enough. Yeah. They didn't have a father figure in their life. So their self-worth is, I have to be good enough, smart enough, worthy enough. And these kids, I've been around them. When they lock in on something, like if they said they're going to go out and steal X amount of cars, they get it done.
It's funny how to be a really successful criminal, you actually have to be an entrepreneur. It's just there are laws, against what it is that you're doing, and society frowns upon it. But at the end of the day, what are the traits? In fact, all CEOs are generally considered psychopaths. That you have to have psychopathic traits to be able to run a huge corporation.
Well, and deal with a lot of loneliness.
That, and also to deal with, if suddenly you have to lay off 100,000 people, how is that different than being a serial killer and killing 10 people? You're affecting 100,000 lives. And there's a correlation between the amount of joblessness and suicide rates.
For sure.
So when you're going to lay off 100,000 people, you know that some of them are going to kill themselves. It's just, statistical fact. So you have to make that decision, and it's not easy, but very few people have the ability to actually make that call. And these people do, and you've met them.
Absolutely. I've been in rooms with them.
Yeah. And you might even have some of those traits. But it becomes difficult to have personal relationships when you're that kind of a person, doesn't it?
For sure, it does. Absolutely. Because, the thing is, you're dealing with things. I have a large hiking group in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And I have CEOs, I have executives, I have entrepreneurs, I have people running multi 6, 7, 8, 9-figure level companies, high net worth, ultra high net worth, celebrities from all walks of life. And some come in from all different parts of the world and come hiking with me.
So 6 figures, 100,000, 7 figures, 1 million, 8 figures is 10 million, and 9 figures,
100 plus million.
100 plus million. When we use those terms, so you don't have to do the math in your head, I just thought I'd clarify that.
Yeah, and so what happens is when you take somebody on a hiking trail, the guard comes down, the authenticity and the vulnerability come out, and people's social mask comes off.
Well, they're afraid.
And they're afraid, and they're also in this environment where they feel that it's off the record. It's trail talk.
Yeah.
And
not trash talk, trail talk.
Trail talk. And I've had some very deep, raw, vulnerable, authentic conversations with people at a very deep level that they would never tell their board of directors, never tell their spouse or partner.
Yeah.
Because it can go a different direction if they tell their board or their advisory board.
Consequence. Whereas there's no consequences in having the trail talk.
And they know that we're not recording the conversation and that we're out in the middle of the wilderness and it's off the record.
What's the average age of your group?
Average age, probably
50s?
Probably late 40s, early 50s.
So another statistical fact, men over the age of 50 have a very difficult time developing friendships.
Yes.
And in fact, the majority of them who are not married, and many of them who are, actually don't have a single person that they can call up at night when they need to talk. That's a sad commentary in our society. Now, Darren and I, we do call each other. He's less tolerant than I am as far as listening to, when he's whining about stuff. But his whining is limited, and it's short term, and he gets his anger out. He says what he has to say, and then, he can get it. I sometimes will whine a little longer, and it might take me a little longer to process some of the stuff. So, Darren may not have the patience. He'll be polite to a point, and that, but there has to be that balance. So he's willing to listen, but to a point. So I have to be conscious of that. If I start to drag his emotions down or fuck with his energy, then now he's got to protect himself.
I haven't had you come out in the forest yet and scream out in the forest.
Yeah. Well, you did that.
Throw rocks or break sticks or.
Oh no, I'll do that. I'll do that. But I'm not doing the naked thing, man. That was just fucking weird to me.
Naked hike or naked yoga.
Yeah, the men's naked yoga. This guy went out with a bunch of guys. They all.
Well, I didn't know where they were.
Yeah, I know, but they all stood around, looked at each other's penises.
So, what happened was I got this email of these different events come up in Vancouver. Yeah. Every year I want to do something I would never, ever do. It's always about pushing myself out of my comfort zone, into my learning zone. So this opportunity came for this men's naked yoga. And I said, I would never do that. So I go to bed that night. The next day I wake up and it's on my mind, okay, that's something you would never do. You need to sign up for it, pay for it, and go. And then I had this resistance, and I had this anxiety in my body saying, what the heck am I doing? So I got there really early, into the men's restroom, and there was 2 other guys hiding in the restroom.
Right.
And they didn't want to be there either. And it was, I realized, I have to go through this breakdown, this breakthrough. This is a great experience for me to push me out of my comfort zone.
Sure.
There's a blind spot. There's something for learning there. And I learned a lot that day about the masculinity and about in our culture in North America, how men are homophobic or fear about that, men being naked. Yeah. But if we're in Finland, we're in France, we're in these European countries. They're doing sweat lodges together. They're doing baths together. They're doing sauna. They're doing steam room. They're doing hot tubs together.
So it's more cultural.
Yeah.
So do you think the men in those cultures have more friendships?
More friendships, and they have more deeper trust.
That's interesting.
Absolutely.
We're gonna have to delve into that one and let's do some research on that, and then we can talk about it with a little bit more knowledge.
And Finland is very popular for it.
Well, maybe we should go to Finland.
I've thought about doing it.
Dude, there is a cruise that goes all and stops like at about 30 or 40 ports all up Norway.
Go
No,
instant.
yeah, and then no kidding. But the nice thing is when you're cruising, what do we say? It was 170 countries in the world have cruise ports.
Yes, about that. Yeah.
Insane. Now we're not stopping in North Korea, and I'm not going to the Congo. Where else wouldn't you go?
I've always been a little. Well, I have a lot of people in my hiking group that are from Russia, and they say Russia's pretty safe to go to. You would have no problem going. But I've always said, well, so I'll share something with you. So when I was a kid, when I always saw the people in Qatar and in Saudi Arabia, with the white with the so Qatar, yeah. So people who were from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So I was always terrified of those people. Terrified.
Oh yeah.
I always thought they were terrorists.
Yeah.
When I was a kid growing up, I was always terrified.
Oh, yeah, we're all.
So then my first trip to Dubai, I've been to Dubai multiple times. My first trip to Dubai, met some influential people over there. I get invited to this room.
Yeah.
And they're doing this open ceremony, and they have these guys come with machine guns, and then all this food outside, entertainment. These guys come and they put these guns up in the air and they boom, shoot these guns.
Yeah.
Well, I ran inside, and everybody else is looking up because I thought what goes up must come down.
I think they thought of that, man.
Yeah. I was terrified.
An angle, they probably come down a mile away, or at least a few hundred yards.
So inside to hide, and people are like, what goes up must come down. And so I came out, and so I was meeting those people from Saudi Arabia, and I was terrified. But if you go through my social media, some of these men and women have been reading my books, and Saudi Arabia became very popular with my book until I became, and Dubai became very popular.
Yeah.
And so I confronted my fear of being with these men and sitting with them and having lunch and dinner with them, to actually breaking bread with them, to actually feeling safe around them.
I can't wait to see the next iteration of Until I Become. Probably now that I have become, no, not yet. It would be more of
who have I become, or when have I become?
Who have I become, or I am as I become, because the first one is a future sense, and this one would be you're on the journey. And you've gone quite a distance from that book.
Yeah.
So, I can see that you have a lot more to say.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that we had this chance here, and I think we'll have a lot more opportunity to talk to this guy. He's kind of interesting. That's why he's basically my best friend in this planet. He's a lot of fun, and now that we are sharing cruising together, we're gonna
separate rooms.
Yeah. There's not shared bunking.
Some of you think of planes, trains, and automobiles.
No, there is none of that. We're not homophobic.
There's no spooning.
I'm going to show you guys something funny about Darren. He doesn't like being touched. I have seen only a couple of people hug this guy. I've known him a long time, and I try to hug him, and he gets all stiff, probably like my dad did. A lot of guys are, but I have watched him, and
you saw me hug somebody recently.
Yeah. And I was quite surprised because that person meant so much to him that they held on to each other, and I was quite moved by that. Yeah. And so he is capable of emotion, but there's something that still stops him from. Maybe it's because I'm a fat man and he has no respect for me.
No, it's not that. No,
it could be that. I don't know. No, I know it's not that. But he is working on that. And he is breaking out of every single limitation, as you've heard, and he keeps expanding himself. The fact that he's on this ship, you have no idea how much he's expanded himself. So we've got a lot more adventures ahead. We'll keep this up, and we'll have some more conversations.
Looking forward to it.